Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I am Lisa Fernandes, and
I am Chris Jayawardena. Hello, 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 hello.
And we're here for the second episode of the second season of Laverne and Shirley, Angels of Mercy. It was directed by Howard Storm, again, directed the season premiere, and written by Michael Warren and William Bickley, and I'm pretty sure Chris has some facts about them.
Yeah, so William Bickley and Michael Warren, they were also the same pair that worked on Nun's Story and One Flew Over Milwaukee. And it was good to see, back in the 70s, Michael Warren, before being the mayor of Raccoon City during the terrible Resident Evil outbreak situation, was a very successful teleplay writer. As for Howard Storm, so we talked a little bit about... we've talked about, I think, Howard Storm in the past, and he's done a lot more episodes, so we'll be able to cover him again. But I discovered in my research while getting ready for this session of recording is he had a guest spot as a voice on Duckman in the 1990s as a commercial director.
No way!
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's cute. That's
cool.
Yeah, and he's got quite a few credits to his name, as do both Warren and Bickley as well.
That's really cool. That is super interesting because I didn't know that even happened. I just recently found out there's a whole SpongeBob SquarePants episode where Michael David and Henry Winkler voice a group of greaser sharks, I do believe.
Oh my god.
And it exists.
Whoa.
That exists.
Oh, I'm tracking.
It's Sharks versus Puds.
I am so tracking that down now.
That aired on Nickelodeon recently. I recorded the rerun of it so I can listen to it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. Michael's episode of Sesame Street just aired recently again, so that was fun too.
It's a lot of Michael.
He's basically playing David St. Yeah, he's basically playing David St. Hubbins there. It's a lot of fun to watch. G-rated David St. Hubbins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of voiceover roles, David was Henry the Penguin on Oswald for years, and Michael came on and voiced his penguin cousin named Bluey. It's cute as heck.
That is adorable.
That's cute as heck. That's still in reruns as well. I think Nick Jr.
Cool.
I think.
So what is today's episode about, Lisa?
In an attempt at impressing upstairs neighbor Jerry Callahan, a writer she's been sweet on since season 1, Laverne decides to join Shirley in the semi-noble art of candy striping. While Shirley tries to land herself an eligible doctor, Laverne tries to be there for Jerry while he undergoes minor surgery. But an unpleasant surprise awaits Laverne when Jerry comes out of anesthesia. What do you think?
This was a lot of fun. We had talked in the last episode about the increase in physical comedy, but wow, this kicked it up a notch. It's in terms of synopsis and idea, it is definitely very sitcom-y. This is very much the the gals trying to get something, especially trying to get a good husband, and what's sad is, with Laverne, I mean, Jerry was, oh God, why does he have to be like that? Because it's so cute. It's like he's close, but not quite. It's the weird, compatibility thing. She wants something to be there when there's nothing there. But it's I'm kind of jumbled all over the place just because there's so many aspects of this episode that it's able to balance incredibly well, which is one of the things I admire about this episode, is that it goes between concepts incredibly suddenly, and that you'll have, it won't just be, we're going to stay on this one note about the nurse thing for this long period of time. That's going to jump to the Jerry thing, and then the Jerry thing has its own subset of, it's like, can you feed my fish, and the laundry, and then how the boys react to the laundry thing, and
Lenny notices that she's sweet on him, which I thought was interesting. He's the one who notices who she's sweet on.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun little note. She's sweet on him, I can tell. Which is I thought was fun. Jerry's a garbage human. Let's be real.
I mean, it's actually, okay, I'm checking my notes. I actually have Jerry, you suck, all the way at the bottom there.
He's yet another one of her, this guy is cute, I will bend myself into a pretzel to please this guy relationships, which does happen a lot in the show. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate, and it shows, A, how low Laverne's self-esteem is, and B, it also shows how she's so determined to get that brass ring, get married, get the grandkids, get Frank off of her back, that so she's not thinking about the future.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, it's kind of sad in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, it's kind of sad, but she deserves better.
Yeah.
I literally said during the last live tweets that we did, shout out to the live tweet crowd, that she deserves so much better. She deserves so much better. It's just unfortunate.
And they really, and I think that even carries into both of them in this episode too. I mean,
Yeah.
Shirley's adventure in nursing goes, you know, pretty horribly, you know, towards the end, and you know, I mean, that leads to that whole conversation toward, you know, in the conclusion of, you know, does your balloon ever land, you know, and it's you know, it's an interesting, you know, I think turnaround towards the conclusion that, you know, they both don't get what they want, and they get kind of results that are pretty, you know, emotionally and kind of, you know, even physically kind of terrifying. Because what the prospect of it sort of says is, you know, you put all this effort into this direction of trying to find a husband, trying to find love, trying to find connection, and it doesn't work out. And not only does it not work out, but it can lead to some really kind of humiliating situations. I mean, just the thought of how for Laverne's side, that she went to all this trouble for a guy, you know, and the only thing, I know he's a little loopy from the drugs, but the only thing I can think of is, how are my fish? And I'm assuming the fish are dead. I'm assuming the fish are dead by this point. The poor fishes.
Yeah, at this point, she has probably forgotten to feed them.
Oh yeah.
Because she's so caught up in trying to be there for him.
Right.
They're probably belly up.
Right.
And that's why we never see him again after this episode.
Oh geez. Yeah, no, he has to move away to hide from the tragic fish incident. You know, he comes back in this bawling mess. And no, and it's heard throughout the entire apartment. And the Lenny and Squeak come in and it's like, can you please shut up? We're trying to cook over here. And it's like, and we're trying to make fish fingers. Oh, those are doing just fine.
Oh my god. I just want you to know that sounds exactly like something would happen in a Mad TV sketch parody of the show. Which exists, by the way. Definitely exists.
Oh boy.
They are super crude. Eventually we'll discuss them, but they exist. Trust me, they exist. There's a great one where they make fun of the Happy Days shark jump, and they have, I think it's Mo Collins doing Laverne, and she goes, and for some reason it's Happy Days in Spanish. She goes, "Oh, Fonzie est en el sharko." That stuck with me for like 20 years now. It's still stuck in my head. The way she's doing this a lot.
Wow.
Because he gets eaten by the shark because it's Mad TV. But,
right, of course.
Yeah.
But it's
that's the cleanest. That's the cleanest version of a Laverne and Shirley based sketch that they did that I can repeat at the moment.
Oh my god.
Where you have to slap a content warning up.
Okay, so
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you.
Tell me between episodes. I want to know. Dish. Yeah, you need to dish with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing that was interesting in this episode to me as well is the timing and banter between the girls in this it's incredibly high octane, but it's also much more aggressive. And I'm kind of curious if this is where you sort of see a little bit of the feuding between Penny and Cindy, you know, the kind of the tensions on set starting to sort of bubble into the mix, in the actual work.
The two of them were very, 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 very close during this period. They would fight a lot. They would not speak, and they would get close again. When Penny divorced Rob Reiner somewhere around season 5, and she experienced hysterical blindness from the anxiety the divorce was giving her, Cindy would literally lead her around the set.
Oh my gosh.
She would be on her mark. Yeah, they had that kind of friendship. They would bite each other's heads off, but they loved each other. This is an outsider perspective, but just reading their autobiographies, reading what they said about each other, seeing the two of them do interviews together, which is a wonderful experience.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of lovely archived interviews thanks to various YouTube channels. And I don't know if that's really real life leaking in. The writers do leak a little bit of the nonsense that was happening behind the scenes into the show at various times. When I think we get there, I'll point it out. But at least part partially it goes between being very, very salty and intense, the fighting between the girls, and sometimes it'll be very not. It really depends on the episode. So I don't know if that's real life reflecting in.
Yeah.
Audience, give your thoughts if you'd like to. But yeah.
Yeah, we're
spitballing.
excited. We are excitedly hitting the "we would like to know more" button. Like Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a, whatever the case, it does add definitely, again, that, as I was mentioning before, the heightened energy, with the characters, the interactions, and it carries over really well, I think, into, also, I find it interesting. You really get to see Shirley be a little more kind of smug and know-it-all, especially in the first half of this episode. It's, and it's interesting that even with what happens to her, she's not too terribly humbled, which I think is actually a positive, to be honest, because I like that, it's not necessarily that she needed to be humbled. She just needs to be a little less blunt or curt with the way that she uses what she knows.
Yeah. I was going to say that a lot of what drives Shirley is her mother in the back of her head going, "Don't marry a sailor. Don't marry a sailor. Don't marry a sailor," as we saw in season 1. So that's why she keeps chasing the professional man dream, even though she's got Carmine, has a lot of invalid feelings about Carmine, has been dating Carmine since high school. So Shirley is like a mixed bag with that, in that she wants to marry the heck out of Knapp Street and away from being blue collar and away from the line and bowling and pizza and beer on Fridays. But on the other hand, her heart is with her best friend. Her heart is with Carmine in a lot of ways, as we're going to come to see. So in the end, in the end, it's her head versus her heart, and we'll see which part of her anatomy wins by the end of the show. So
that's good. That'll be good. I'll be curious to see how that works out. Whether I like it or not remains to be seen.
Oh, it's still an embattled situation in the fandom. A lot of people don't like how it turned out. I am among them. And yeah, we'll get there. As the catchphrase goes on the show, we will get there.
Yeah.
This had my favorite hello gag. This has one of my favorite hello gags.
Yes.
When Shirley's telling Laverne that they're going to aim for handsome rich guys of class, and then comes the boys. Hello. And that's what happens.
It's really good.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Their whole, because they really only just get the one scene in this episode, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that is, it's one of the absolute highlights of the episode is, I mean, them with the laundry, and they're pretty much practically stripped, they're down to their boxers practically. And
in robes.
In robes, yeah. And then
Squeaky's got his leather jacket.
Yeah, exactly. And then I love, especially, the doing everybody's laundry, and then, it's like, no, I'm not doing it. And it's like, well, since we're all packed, let's go to Chicago. I mean, that is such a Lenny and Squiggy sort of thing. And yet at the same time, it's also
presumably that's where they go. Presumably that's where they go too, because you don't see them for the rest of the episode.
Exactly. And it makes me kind of wish that like there had been like some sort of what'd you call it, like a coda at the end that, of getting to see them come back, and it's like, it's funny. There were a lot less gangsters over there than I expected.
In the end, though, Squiggy does have a recurring girlfriend from Chicago that we see like 3 times. They don't say she's the same girl, but she's clearly the same girl. We'll get to her. We'll get to that. But yeah, that scene where the girls have to change those sheets from beneath a sleeping man is A, one of the most classic bits of physical comedy the show's done, and B, it's one of Penny's favorite bits of the whole show. She mentioned that. She loved that bit. That she and Cindy would almost work telepathically.
Yeah, you can see that.
They wouldn't have to verbalize it. They wouldn't have to literally communicate it aloud. They would instinctively know what the heck to do. And that's just one great example of that. And you mentioned you like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's an amazing sequence. I mean, I absolutely... It's the showstopper in many ways. Like I can't imagine what it was like to be in the audience, you seeing this performed, and and even figuring like if they had rehearsed it enough, how many takes did it actually take on the day, to go through it?
Yeah.
And I just can't believe, and the actor, does an amazing job not laughing during the sheet sequence. Now, do you figure that's the one they mention as the patient played by Jack Perkins in the credits?
I'm pretty sure that's him.
Yeah.
He has to have some kind of billing for doing that. I'm pretty sure that's him.
Way to go, Jack. And I mean, it's just about the best, still performance I've ever seen in a physical comedy bit.
I was going to mention that they did a lot of these bits was done in one take.
Wow.
And that was them riding the bed. No stunt people.
Jeez.
This is why they were awarded a special award by the Stuntman's Union. They're that good. And they were doing this all themselves. Which is pretty darn badass.
It is. Yeah. And it's pretty darn badass. And I'm just kind of curious because Penny has a history in dance, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
yes.
I'm curious about Cindy's past because I mean that kind of training, if you have at least some familiarity, that makes it so much easier. Something athletic, something physical, because these types of jokes and these types of bits, especially the way that that Penny has to then balance herself against the wall, and with her feet against the wall, and then pressing over, and then Cindy. I mean, just like there's this amazing coordination and balance and focus because they're doing that while performing lines and character at the same time. Yeah.
That you can imagine how much skill it takes to do that, and they are incredible for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy once told Gary Marshall that she was little, so she had to be fierce, which I think just encapsulates everything. I think she had a background in ballet when she was a little girl. But otherwise, she was basically doing serious actor-related things. Before this, she was in The Conversation with Francis Ford Coppola directed that.
Oh, oh my God, that was her.
Yeah, that was her.
It just suddenly clicked what character she is. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Yes. The Conversation is one of my favorite movies from the 70s. My goodness.
Yes, yeah, that's her. That's her in that movie. She was in Travels with My Aunt. She was in, obviously, American Graffiti before this. Mm-hmm. She had a lot of serious character work and serious acting work before Laverne and Shirley, which is one of the reasons that she gives or was given by multiple people who all have different reasons why she didn't initially sign up for the pilot for her not pursuing sitcom work immediately. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's how good she was. That's how good she is. Yeah. She still is darn good.
Yeah. Gosh.
Still on stages across America.
Wow.
I think she's doing Menopause the Musical. That's her latest touring production.
Oh, right on.
I think.
Well, whatever the case, Sydney, you kick ass, and you continue to kick ass, and we salute you.
Hell yeah.
And, so that, God, speaking of Cindy and speaking of Shirley and the episode, and then after the physical comedy comes the bit of the yikes bit. I think we gotta finally cover that.
Yeah. This is notated in my notes as Ether Mask Yikes.
Yeah.
This is literally what it says in my notes.
Yeah, mine just simply goes yikes, more rape joke humor, and then the comment of the quote of heartaches and a face full of ether. And so
the only good part of that entire thing is that she turns the tables on the dude and gasses his ass and leaves his ass there.
Yeah, exactly.
To suffer.
Right.
But the rape humor in the show and also some of the weight jokes are the two things that are its least funny and most poorly aged elements.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll keep popping up, sadly. We haven't hit the date rape Trioka yet.
Ugh,
but those are in the future. And it's a bizarre counterbalance to the feminism of the show. Even this season, you can see a lot of, even for the 70s, strong feminist statements about how it's okay to be a single woman, which we'll be doing in a few episodes, about how it is important to dream, but important to live your own life. And important to make your dreams reality versus what anybody else would have you do. And then on the other hand, you have this burlesque rape garbage humor.
Right.
And it sucks, and it sucked then, and it sucks now. I've said it before. I'll say it again. When we hit Bully Show, I'm gonna go in on it hard. Be prepared. When we hit Road to Burbank, Road to Burbank is what it's called. In season 6, I'm gonna hit it. When we hit the infamous monastery story, I am going to hit it harder than anything has been hit in the history of the universe.
So maybe we should make that another Patreon goal then, to get you a nice big hammer. or Betty Ross's big damn sword.
Pledge $60 a month to buy Lisa Advil. Buy her some aspirin. She's gonna need it. Goodness. But yeah, Ether Mask Yikes is what my note is, and it's just the weakest part of a show that's so pro-feminist in other elements, so pro-union, it's a lot more progressive than what people think the sitcom would be like. It's progressive in a lot of ways and doesn't get credit for it. Shout out, by the way, to Ashley, who pointed this out during the watch along last week. It's going to be months when this goes out.
Right.
A couple. Yeah. But Gary Marshall said that he was breaking new ground with this sitcom, and he did. But in a lot of ways, it's aggressive. It's aggressive and progressive at the same time. So.
That's the thing I notice is with each era that it happens frequently. It's one of the reasons I find that not to get too off topic and off track, but I do find that's one of the, I think, understandable frustrations that people feel and express, very loudly on social media about some of the films and TV shows that get made today, about saying, when they get really upset about this one detail. And it's like, it's understandable because when you consider that one detail, is part of a cycle of this type of behavior or this type of element, the whitewashing in media or again, sexist humor or, rape jokes or, racism, just in general. I mean, there's so many different aspects that are, that have to be sort of taken care of. We have a really screwed up society, basically, in that we just have to we have to work hard at it. And it's unfortunate when something like this, which is really fun and very escapist, that joke did not make me feel good. It's not meaning to like come off as some sort of, virtue signaling thing. It was just simply, I don't want those things to happen to Shirley, and I just don't want that to happen to anybody, and I just don't think they're funny. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, we're in for some hurting in the future in regard to this kind of material. We'll get there eventually, but it's unnecessary and it's ridiculous. It's just totally, completely unnecessary. I know why it exists in the show because of the era, because of Gary's background in this kind of like Catskill vaudevillian kind of dying vaudeville. We hang around old vaudeville people up in the Catskills, and this kind of stuff just kind of leaks in your sense of humor.
Yep.
But I can't blame Gary, though. It's the writers. Even though the writers and the actors are constantly fighting, and the writers were constantly having the scripts written by the cast, and the cast were constantly rejecting what the writers were doing, and the writers would get their revenge, and et cetera, et cetera. A lot of people have their finger in the pie when it comes to blame, when it comes to why this stuff exists in the episodes. And it's just unfortunate that it happens.
But getting back to the episode in question, though, itself is, I did find it interesting, the discussion they have at the conclusion about their, the whole "Does your balloon ever land?" And I really liked Shirley's response to it, just because the fact that it was interesting that, we've talked about this before, about how Laverne and Shirley have these distinctive personalities, that one is very cynical and one's very hopeful. And what I liked is that you get to see Shirley be a little more realistic here, and about that this could be rough and this is difficult. And I like how she even says, yes, my balloon can land. It doesn't always land in the right spot, but it's sort of like I'm not being willfully oblivious and ignorant. It's that she's making, I guess, a choice. I'm deciding that I'm not going to allow this to deter me from my goal, which is an interest, which again, as we're saying, that kind of that mixture of its it's regressive and progressive, is that it's like terrible regressive things happen, but yet she's still this fighter that's not going to give up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Her dream, she's going to reach her dream. Her dream is this doctor, this professional man, or this guy with this white-collar job, and her 2.3 kids, and her collie, and her white picket fence. She's going to get all the things her mom never had. And the problem with that, like, even this ends up coming up. They do a wonderful episode around season 5 called Testing, where the entire gang gets goes through psychological examinations for work. And what the doctor points out to Shirley is that you have this beautiful structure and this beautiful picture, but there's nobody living in the house.
Oh, wow.
There's nobody. In other words, she has this whole exterior life. She has all these things planned, but the guy inside almost doesn't matter.
Wow. That's...
So, yeah.
Good Lord, that got deep. That got heavy and deep all of a sudden. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great episode. That's a really great episode.
Well, okay, so back to so I guess back to the lightheartedness. Jerry.
Yes.
What the hell, Jerry? I mean, at first I was starting to like it with the fact that you seem kind of you're an author and or a poet, and then you have the and he's got the little horsies on his boxer shorts, and those are so cute. But oh man, Jerry, you suck.
Yeah. Once again, he remains one of my least favorite Laverne squeezes.
Yeah.
Because he's extremely self-involved.
Yeah. And admittedly, though, at least the actor plays it to the hilt. I mean,
I mean, not his fault.
He feels like if you did okay, here's a deep cut. If you did a sequel to The Silent Partner with Elliot Gould, he would be one of the tellers that would get, be kind of the really dinkish, not likable guys on the bank that gets shot, and Elliot Gould is smirking like, yeah, you got what you deserved.
Yeah. Like, honestly, like then we get to the end of the episode and Laverne's all melty because she finally gets a date with this guy. And I'm like, why do you want to date this dude? He already made it clear that his fish are more important than you. And like, I guess that's her dream where she gets to make out with a hot writer. But why she should dream better. No way she should dream better.
Yeah. The other note I also have here is that, so we have another diary piece that concludes the episode, and I was curious, did the diaries ever change color, like on the binding? Because it seemed my head was telling me it was a different color, but it could have just been that I was thinking of the color of what top she was wearing.
I'm pretty sure that that diaries kind of change as the years progress, the seasons progress. I'm not entirely certain. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But I'm pretty sure it's the same diary. Pretty sure.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Correct us if we're wrong, audience.
Yes, please interact with us. We're lonely.
Yes. We're so lonely and nobody can see us.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, yes. Okay, so... Yeah. I think, like, in the end, there's kind of like a difference between the dream and reality. The girls haven't bumped up against this fact yet. They will, at least partially, as the future progresses. But, yes. That's the episode in a nutshell in a lot of ways. Mr. Me.
Yeah. I think that's good. Yeah. So, out of 10, what you giving this one?
This one is roughly about a 7. No, I'm going to put it about a 6. It's a 6 for me. Desperately need to see that physical comedy bit where they're trying to change the sheets underneath that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Even the bit where Shirley mixes up everybody's false teeth is funny.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy. What's the recommendation about making them fight for it?
Yeah, that was her suggestion. There's a lot of little bits. There's a lovely little conversation with Laverne and Frank at the start of the episode, which is cute.
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't mention, which I should have mentioned,
Oh,
where they have a
Oh,
extremely high wattage light bulb
yes.
in the refrigerator.
And that is, okay, I've used 300-watt light bulbs on set when Dad and I have had to do black and white photography. And yeah, that's accurate. And using the sunglasses, I love that.
Yeah. And they every time they go in for something, they have to put sunglasses on so they won't be blinded.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
which is both, I was going to say, it's both a perfect working class touch where they can't afford these halogen bulbs and a perfect comedy touch.
Exactly. I was exactly what I was going to say is that it's like, yeah, we've all, many of us, when we were a little strapped or we're out of bulbs, we never get, we don't have them for whatever reason, and we just use whatever's available. I once put a 150-watt bulb on the front door, above the front door of our house once, and yeah, you could see that from quite a ways away.
Yeah, you probably see it from the moon.
Yeah,
points.
Pretty much. Yeah. No, yeah, the little moon men and the whalers were waving back, and it's like yar, there she blows. That's a whalers on the moon Futurama joke, everybody.
Whalers on the moon, you think you're happy too. Please don't sue us, Fox.
Actually, no, it's don't sue us, Disney now.
Oh God, that's right. Everything is just one conglomerate. Everything is just one conglomerate. We will all owe our firstborn to Disney.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to finally just eat up Viacom at this point, and then we're gonna have to pay them some dividends for this.
Yeah. God.
Anyway, but back to the episode.
Well, as much as we complain about Viacom and how they treat this show, and how much we complain about CBS and how they're treating the reruns of the show and how they treat. Oh, we have good news. Speaking of, about the show being rerun. That's right. Laverne and Shirley is joining the MeTV lineup on June 1st. It's going to be way past it by now. By the time this episode airs.
Yeah, we'll probably put an edit. Yes. I think in one of the earlier episodes by then.
Okay. I was going to say we'll do 12. They will be airing on Sunday afternoons. You got to check your local listings. It does not have a weekday slot yet. Unlike Happy Days. Happy Days has a 6 p.m. weekday slot. At least it will have a decent time slot, which is a mid-afternoon time slot, 3 p.m. Logo tends to run marathons of the show, but it runs it erratically, and its edits are imperfect to say the least. They cut the tag scene out of High Neighbors, and I don't forgive them for that.
Mm-mm.
That's all I gotta say about their edits, which I've probably said before, but it remains true. It stays true. Okay. But yes.
So I think, yeah. Okay. So I gotta get
what's your
so my ranking for this episode is I think really about the same. Yeah, like a 6.5. I think it gets knocked down by the humor. Jerry being awful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I agree. I think the physical comedy, it's weird. It's one of those, it's low ranking, but you have to see it kind of things, because there's so many parts, that are classic to the show, from what you've said, and as well, I could just, they're strong. And, the boys, if you really like the Lenny, Swiggy, Laverne, and Shirley banter moments, their one scene in this episode is killer. And so there's many good things there, but it's one of those. Yeah, as well. The other issue I find is that it balances a lot of concepts, as I was saying, but it doesn't necessarily balance the kind of emotional arc and themes quite as strongly.
Yeah.
As even the previous episode, I think handled that a little better. So yeah, I think 6.5, thereabouts.
I do want to throw out that Penny does a really good job when Laverne feels rejected by Jerry. Towards the end of the episode, she does a really good job with that.
That's so heartbreaking.
That was a nice line.
So good. It's
nice little acting.
Yeah, it breaks my heart. Poor thing. All right. Is there anything? I'm trying to think if there's any other parts for this particular episode.
I can't really think of any. It's just a darn good physical comedy episode. This is where the show takes a big leap, starts becoming what you think of Laverne and Shirley being by season 4, by season 3. Those big physical stunts where the girls just to throw themselves in there. Eventually the boys join them throwing themselves in there, but they're nearly all breaking their necks. But apparently, I saw an interview with Michael where he said he never got severely injured on set. At one point, he actually kicked Penny right in the forehead and caused her to bleed.
Oh, God.
And at one point, she twisted her ankle, and they had to write around her for 2 episodes. And I'm pretty sure which episodes those were. But I'd have to get outside confirmation on those. But yeah, when you really think about it, and you think about how physical the work they're doing was, and you realize nobody got really seriously injured, it's kind of amazing.
Oh, certainly, and this one in particular, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, it gets more and more and more extreme. So.
Oh boy, yeah. That Murphy bed, I'm not going to forget anytime soon. That clip.
Yeah.
Boy.
The Murphy beds. It's one of my favorite bits of physical humor the show did, and it's one of those beautiful signature moments of the show. And we'll get there. We'll get there when we get to review it. So.
Yeah. Cool. But I guess, with that in mind, we look towards the future, and we'll be back next week. And so what is our next episode? I think we're gonna have a bit of a small bundle of joy surprise in this next one, correct?
Yes. Girls babysit Fonzie's godson, and the poor kid ends up in the care of Lenny and Squiggy because this is a sitcom, and the boys gotta get involved somehow. This is Bachelor Mothers.
Awesome.
I'm never going to hold that. They're awesome.
Excellent. So we hope you'll join us again next week for that. And thank you so much once more. And if you would like to know more, please join us on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, or Patreon, as we can be found at Night After Night Pod or Night After Night PC on Twitter. And please, definitely check out our other episodes that we have so far, and interact with us if you have any comments or questions you'd like us to talk about. But I guess that's gonna be all of us for now. And thank you so much for listening, and have yourself a great day.
Enjoy yourself out there. Have a lot of fun.